Being one with Satan, crawling from the shadows, tomb ceiling, complimenting Christ, consumed by hatred. Fucking right. Deicide are back with Overtures of Blasphemy, which I assume is a less than complimentary take on people of faith. Overtures of Blasphemy is the band's 12th studio album and their first since 2013's In the Mind of Evil. Returning to the fold as ever is Glenn Benton, of course, on bass and vocals, Steve Asham on drums. Returning for his second album is Kevin Kiernan, and we also have the inclusion of Mark English on guitar, who is replacing Jack Owens of Cannibal Corpse fame, of course. Apparently this is the last album that the band owe to Century Media Records. And Glenn Benton was saying, now after all these years we have developed a I'm just doing this for myself approach. Selfish. I didn't have anything in mind in terms of objectives except for getting this record completed for Century Media and doing it on a high note. We wanted to write an album that was fun to play and groovy with hooks and catchiness, with killer leads and harmonies. Let's approach it with the music we grew up with the music we listened to, with that catchiness from the days of old. I remember the days of old. That's what we wanted to recapture, but we went at it with a more barbaric approach instead of turning it into elevator music with Pro Tools. So without further shitting about, let's have a look at the tunes. Track 1, At One with Satan. To be fair, this is a great opening track. It's packed full of guttural vocals, double bass drumming, really going frenetic, tremolo pick guitars. I don't get the impression that they're trying to reinvent the wheel here. Pretty much all the songs are below 4 minutes. And they all pretty much just get straight to the point. There's a lot of Slayer worship in regards to the actual lead playing. A lot of dive bombing and those sort of Kerry King squeals that we also know and love. What you believe I dispute to the end. Unbound by the gospel of woe. No one is safe from the lies of Lord. Confiding with death and stripped of virtue. Under the light I see in an ocean of suffering. Go to him, in the end you'll see there's nothing waiting for you. Only death. Well, that's a cheery way to start Saturday. I've worked all bloody week. This is the only time I get to myself. Deprecation. Soul is taken. One with Satan. I'd class myself as more of a loner myself. Track 2, Crawled from the Shadows. Some great drumming on this track as there is throughout the album. And a lot of the guitar lines have this real Norse, kind of ancient Norse feel to them. Metal as fuck. The actual precision of the playing on this album is pretty fucking outstanding. I mean, you have to be pretty good at what you do to be able to play this sort of music well, and everything's very precise, very tight. Just sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Oh man, there is fucking loads of people coming this way. The fuck is going on today? Next up, we have Seal the Tomb Below. More of a mid-paced, down-picked chugger, this one. Steve is once again fantastic behind the kit, and the lead playing is off the chain, y'all. Glenn's harsh vocals still sound good, but we get none of the more sort of high-pitched or the more sort of squealing that we've got in previous albums. Solid tune though, solid tune. Up next we have Compliments of Christ. I'm quite happy about that because he's had a hell of a time. Lots of tremolo picking and chugging riffage that some of it actually reminded me a bit of As the Palaces Burn era Lamb of God. In that sort of groove thing. Hide behind his lies. Never will I grieve. You are dead to me. Might I perhaps suggest some meditation or perhaps some herbal teas? Next up we have All That Is Evil. This one has a nice sort of slower head banging, you know, one of those type riffs, as well as some nice melodic lead playing. I have to say, if there's one thing I enjoy on the entirety of the album, it really is the lead guitar. The inclusion of Mark English, I think, has been a great thing. He's a phenomenal guitar player, much more of a shredder, much more of a sweep sort of style player than not. Next up we have Excommunicated. Very Slayer style intro on this one, with some dive bombing leads. Consume communion, feast on his remains. Absurd absolution, confess your sins away. Birth from the Virgin Mother, spread your holy legs. Bastard father absent, no one cares that you've been slain. Now, it was at this point in the album that it really started to dawn on me that it's quite a repetitive album, and it's certainly something that I've seen in a lot of other reviews, and it's something that I do happen to agree with. I don't think the songs are bad at all. They're very well performed, very well put together, but there's not much that separates one from the other. 12 songs, I think it's like 32 minutes long, and it does get, by this point I did find it got a little samey. So I'm going to be a bit briefer, I suppose, with the back half of the album. Anointed in Blood is up next. We got some nice down-picked riffage. Crucified Soul of Starvation, which I very much enjoyed, but again kind of a similar vibe to a lot of the others. Defying the Sacred is up next. I went down that way last time. This one I found had a bit more melodicism in the intro before going into the more familiar death metal territory. Consumed by Hatred, which is a lovely title. A decent enough tune with some very hateful sounding vocals. So are the others. Then we have Flesh Power Dominion. I really did enjoy the riffing on this one. Had a definite Slayer vibe with some nice dive bomb lead playing again thrown in for good measure. I can't say I've enjoyed doing this review, not because of the album, because there has genuinely been a hell of a lot of people around today. And I can't stand it. I fucking hate it. I come up here to get away from people, not be with people. I'm with people all the time. This is my away time. This is my me time, which I then share on YouTube too. Literally some views. And finally we have Destined to Blasphemy, which is a decent enough closer to the album. Had some faster tempo stuff mixed up with some chuggier power chord moments. But yeah, not a bad close to the album. In terms of a score, I'd probably give this a 7 out of 10. It does suffer a little from the repetitive nature of the album, I'm afraid. I do enjoy a lot of death metal, but I can't say I've ever really sat through many full albums, because a lot of them suffer from the same thing, I find. That they do kind of get a bit formulaic and repetitive. But yes, that's the album, 7 out of 10. Some great stuff on here, sounds great, some fantastic riffage. Glenn sounds pretty good, just suffers from a bit of repetition, just like me going on. How many times have I said repetition now, for fuck's sake? So, what have I got coming up next? Well, on Monday I'll be doing a review of the Arcane Roots EP, Landslide, which I'm very much looking forward to. And I will finally get my Strapping Young Lad City review out. It was done ages ago, I just haven't had a chance to put it together. And it's probably the most promised review I've done at this point. I've been promising it for about 2 fucking months now. Be glad to actually finally get it out there. I'd be interested to see if anybody actually watches the goddamn thing. But yeah, next week as well I'll be back with Slash's new album. Looking forward to that one. I'll be doing that one. Oh god, this has been as I said, there's been far too many people around today, which has really done my head in, and I think I'll just leave it there.